This video is brought to you by Keeps.
Apple has refreshed the iPad Air, and you might be thinking, well, it doesn't look that much different, especially compared to the 3 to the 4. What's so great about the 5th gen? Well, today I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should consider buying this tablet. Reason number 1 isn't super compelling, but it's definitely a consideration. This is the iPad Air 4 in not silver, but blue. It's very muted, and although you really can't go wrong with any of the Air 4 colors, especially if you already have one, you really get a nicer sort of selection with the Air 5. This is the new blue. It's a lot more saturated, and yes, you shouldn't necessarily be buying a device for a better color, but keep in mind you can't change the color once you buy the device. So if you already own an iPad Air 4, I wouldn't say upgrade for the color unless you're crazy enough to do that. But if you don't own a device already and you want it to look its best, I honestly think that the new blue is really, really gorgeous. Also too, the iPad Air 5 comes in the same purple that the iPad mini comes in, and both of these colors are just gorgeous. So yeah, the color selection this year is better. Again, not the most compelling argument, but we're gonna get to those later in this video. Reason number 2 is definitely more interesting or compelling than the last, and what I'm about to say is a literal tongue twister, so let's see if I can get through this. The iPad Air 5 features a USB-C 3.1 Gen 2 port, whereas the iPad Air 4 features a USB-C 3.1 Gen 1 port. That is literally the 17th take of that. Gen 3.1 USB-C 3.1 opposed to the airport. Forgive me as I just delivered this. What does that mean? This means that the iPad Air 5 has twice the bandwidth in the port compared to the last gen, 10 gigabits per second over 5 gigabits per second. So that means if you're transferring a bunch of files off of an SSD or an SD card, you're gonna get faster transfer speeds overall. But also too, and this is purely speculative, so I'm not promising anything, but with iPadOS 16, we might see enhanced display or external display support. So if that is coming, I can't guarantee it, but if that is coming, it seems like this iPad is better equipped to handle that. So if you are invested in sort of making this your main machine and you want to use it on like a studio display or any sort of, a third-party display, yeah, this might be better equipped, and of course the M1 chip is super powerful, and that's another point that I'm going to make. But before I do, I want to bring up reason number 3. The iPad Air 5 now has 5G connectivity, cellular-wise, by the way. I mean, Wi-Fi is still the same. And what does this mean to you? Well, for most, I would say right now, it's not the biggest deal, especially if you live in like a suburban town. But if you live in a city like me, I live in Ann Arbor, or if you live in Toronto or New York, or any place that has 5G nodes or cell towers, you're gonna get a lot more bandwidth on the go. So if you're a content creator, or if you're uploading a lot of files, a lot of big files, you're gonna notice that. And of course, it's better to have unlimited data in this case, but if you need mobile data and you want to have faster streaming times, faster download speeds, faster upload speeds, the iPad Air 5 is definitely better equipped for all of that action. Once again, this video is brought to you by Keeps, and I have a lot of bald people in my family, specifically my grandpa on my mom's side, which means that although I might have my luscious locks now, they might be going away by the time I turn 40. This is not uncommon,
And statistically speaking, 2 out of 3 guys will experience hair loss by the time they're 35. Luckily for us, Keeps offers fantastic products that help men keep their hair with use. They also accommodate your hair needs as well, whether you're looking to prevent hair loss, stimulate hair growth, or just take care of the hair you already have. Best of all, Keeps offers an online subscription with no need to get a prescription, see a doctor, or go to a brick and mortar store to purchase. They also offer 24/7 care and support via online messaging, so you can achieve the best results.
So yeah, hair loss stops with Keeps. If you want to get 50% off your first order, visit keeps.com/Noah or my link listed in the video description if you're interested.
That's keeps.com/Noah.
But now let's talk about the M1 chip, which really is reason number 4 to buy this tablet. I'm gonna open up a benchmark app called Geekbench for those of us who care. And if you do care and you keep up with other M1 benchmarks, as you can see, these are very consistent with the M1 MacBook Air, M1 MacBook Pro, and of course the M1 iPad Pro. So the fact that you're getting the same performance here in a cheaper body is really, really cool. Also too, something to note is that we have double the RAM compared to the iPad Air, about 8 gigabytes compared to about 4 gigabytes with the previous gen. What does all this mean though? You know, why do you care? Why does this extra power mean something to you? Well, first and foremost, it means you have a lot of headroom. Back in the day with the iPad Air 2, the A8X was a monster chip introduced, and people really didn't know what to do with it, but it made this iPad last forever. So even though you might not be the person that, you know, does some heavy gaming or video editing or whatever, this is gonna last you quite a long time for the regular stuff. But if you are into gaming, you know, and Minecraft might not be the best example of a really graphically intense game, but even still, it runs absolutely flawlessly. So if you're mobile, or if you're a mobile gamer, that's the better way to say that, you know, whether you're playing first-person shooters or something like this is going to perform really well and also perform throughout the years. You know, it'll really take advantage of newer game titles that might be more graphically intense in the future. In other words, there's a lot of headroom to grow into. But of course, if you are a creative professional like myself, on top of the really fast USB-C port, you can edit high-resolution 4K, even high frame rate 4K 60 video with no problem, stat clips like this as well. Also too, you can do some 3D CAD or modeling with the iPad. There are a plethora of apps involved with that. And of course, some apps like LumaFusion, again, if you're more into video editing and photo editing, this thing is a monster for that. And although it won't outperform like, you know, an M1 Max MacBook Pro or something, if you are all about the form factor and you want the power, of course, this is the device you're gonna wanna consider, especially at its $600 price tag starting out. And finally, reason number 5 has everything to do with this tablet's incredible starting price of $600. And I'll be real with you, 64 gigs starting out is not great. I wish it was 128. It would have given baseline users a lot more room to work with. It'd make them more comfortable. But if you kind of think about Apple selling to students or people who do a lot of web-based stuff, 64 gigabytes is just enough for that. So of course they're gonna save money and put that into here. Also too, they wanna differentiate the baseline iPad Pro from this as well. But yeah, it's not great. However, something you have to consider is if you want the whole iPad experience and you're okay with doing some external drive work. I don't know how many apps support that at this moment, but I know it's becoming increasingly possible. You can get one of those, and also too, you can get the Magic Keyboard and this tablet for the same price as the 11-inch iPad Pro with 128 gigabytes. Not to mention, you can get double the storage for $749 if you buy the iPad Air opposed to the 128 gig iPad Pro 11-inch. So with the same power on the inside, I mean identical chip, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck here. And yes, you know, slimmer bezels with the iPad Pro are nice, faster refresh rate, better camera, you know, really advanced display in the 12.9-inch, obviously, if you go that route, but then it doesn't really make sense to, because that's like a whole different size of tablet and a whole different price range, in my opinion. What I'm getting at is this is a great value, and you can get more for your money compared to the iPad Pro. So yeah, that is about it, everyone. The iPad Air, even though it wasn't the most exciting upgrade, the M1 chip definitely makes it a lot more viable, a lot cooler of a device. You know, it sort of democratizes the M1's power and brings it to more and more people. So I'm really happy to see it. I'm gonna continue to use this as sort of my day-to-day iPad. Also too, you totally should check out Paper-Like screen protectors. I had to remove mine because I didn't install it right. So I'll leave a link to that in the video description. It's a must-have iPad accessory. And of course, check out my link to Keeps in the video description. And yeah, if I haven't already said it, that about wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, do whatever you want, comment, subscribe. Stick around for more iPad Air content. And as always, I'm Noah, and I will catch you all in the next one.